Good evening, everyone. Oma Gyana Tmirandasha, Gyananjana Shalakaya, Chakshunamaditamena, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. We're continuing our study of Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 7. Today we'll finish a chapter. We're taking the passage, verses 24 through 30. 7, 24 through 30. In the previous passage, verses 20 through 23, Krishna criticized those who surrender to other deities other than himself. The passages he's been talking about is surrendering to him. By surrendering to him, you can come out of the material energy and you can enjoy great ananda in the spiritual reality and great opulences there. So there are four types who don't want to do that. There are four types who do that. That was described. But due to the influence of Maya, a lot of the chapters we're hearing about Maya, how it influences the jiva. So one way Maya influences the jiva is to inspire him not to surrender. Yes. In the previous passage, we heard about how Maya inspires the jiva to surrender to other deities other than Krishna. Kaimaya Shashtra Hita Jnana Prapadyante Anya Devata. Anya Devata means other deities. Those who are Hritagyan, their knowledge has been stolen by Kama, by the influence of Maya. Then they choose other deities. Of course, in Vedic culture, other deities means like Shiva, Brahma, Indra. But we mentioned in the previous class, in modern Kali Yuga, means the Kardashians and Jordan Peterson and all these personalities, who they consider to be their devata. So Krishna criticizes those persons as foolish. And the main reason, alpamedasam, antavatu palamte shamta bhavati alpamedasam. First of all, those other deities are actually only my vibhutis. They're just extensions of my own power. So why not worship the source of the power? Later, Krishna will say this is avidhi purvakam. This is not according to the right principle. Just like if you water a tree, then you water the root if you want the tree to benefit. You don't water each individual leaf, you water the root. So if someone says, go and water the tree, and you try to water each individual leaf, this is not according to the right principle. Avidhi purvakam. So similarly, those who worship the devatas, they worship Krishna only, but not according to the right principle. Avidhi purvakam. It is like watering each individual leaf and not watering the root of the tree. You understand? One time Prabhupada was giving this example, and someone raised his hand apparently and said, Srila Prabhupada, actually there's a tea tree, and with the tea tree, you water each individual leaf. And Prabhupada said, you are a rascal. Because I'm trying to give an example to explain this tetta, and you're making some, finding some variation, some what do you say? Exceptional point, an exception to the rule, and then trying to make that the rule. So this is the idea. So you worship only me, but you do so according to the wrong principle. And because of that, the result you get from that worship is temporary. The result you get is temporary, and also the devata you have selected is also temporary. So for this reason, antavatu palamte shamta bhavati alpamedasam. Krishna says, I consider such persons to have alpameda. Meda means intelligence, and alpa means like very little. They have very little intelligence because they've selected an ephemeral deity, which will give ephemeral results. And as we discussed on Monday, anything that is temporary leads to suffering, especially if it gives pleasure. Because it gives pleasure, you will become attached. And because of that attachment, when that object manifests its ephemeral nature, you will suffer. So if it gives a lot of pleasure, then you will suffer a lot. And if it gives little pleasure, you will suffer relatively less, but you will suffer. So for this reason, Krishna says, those who worship other deities, they are alpameda. They are foolish, less intelligent. Now there are others, these are usually materialistic persons. They worship these deities for material gains. But then there are persons who study Shastra, and they're renounced also. And they have other concept of Krishna, that he is ultimately the absolute reality is impersonal. Even modern persons who are spiritual, they're closer to the materialistic persons of the Vedas, but they're spiritual in our standard of society. They generally tend to think that God is impersonal, that he has no personal form, no name, no qualities, no activities. And in Vedic culture, they were generally sannyasins. They were renounced from the world. And they study Vedas, but they come to the conclusion that God is ultimately impersonal. And usually this happens due to ascribing mundane personalism to the absolute truth. When you see Krishna, oh, he looks like human. So that is just us imagining God to be human. They say like this. This is called anthropomorphism in philosophical language. Because we are human, we think that, well, because we are human, we're superimposing our humanity onto divinity and saying God is human. Then we concoct some pictures and so on and say this is God. But actually, it is not God. This is what these persons say. God in the ultimate reality is impersonal. Because in order for something to be all pervasive, existing everywhere, then it cannot have form. Because form is not all pervasive. Because we're looking at our form, and our form is not all pervasive. And because we're superimposing our idea of humanity onto God, and our idea of humanity is necessarily limited, therefore God must not have form. So therefore he must be impersonal. They come to this conclusion. And they study Vedas and come to this sort of impersonal conclusion. So then how do you explain all these forms which are considered to be God even in Vedic culture? So they have another explanation, and that is what is covered in verse 24. So the idea of this verse, Krishna is saying those who worship other devatas, they are foolish. But those who are spiritual, they've even renounced the world and they study Vedas, but they conclude that I am ultimately impersonal, they are also foolish. Now, actually, to understand God is personal deity, you need his mercy. There is no other way to understand that. So Prabhupada mentions, he quotes a nice verse from the Bhagavatam here. Atapite deva padambuja dvaya prasada lesha anugrinita evahi. Janati tatvam bhagavamaham no nachanya eko pichanam vichanvan. So unless someone is favored by a slight prasada lesha, means like just a little trace of prasad, Krishna's mercy, then Janati Tattvam Bhagavan Mahimno, it is not possible for them to understand Bhagavan, the supreme personal absolute. Nachanya Eko Pichanamichinvan, even if they study Vedas for many lifetimes, for many thousands of lifetimes, they will not come to the right conclusion. So this verse is, so the idea of quoting this particular verse is to say only those who are devotees. A devotee is someone who has received the Prasada Lesha, they have received the trace of Krishna's mercy. And they have come to understand that this is God. Then only they are not foolish. Everyone else is foolish. So Krishna wants to make this point. If you are not devotee, then you are foolish. So this is one reason why people don't like devotees so much. We say things like this. Unless you are a devotee, but devotee means real devotee. Prasada Lesha. They've actually received the trace of Krishna's prasad mercy, and they can understand Bhagavan. By direct experience, then they are devotee. Everyone else is foolish. Yeah, just want to make sure it's crystal clear. So here, the people who are foolish, these sannyasins, these renunciates who, what do they say? Avyaktam vyaktam apadam. So avyaktam means unmanifest. So they say God is ultimately unmanifest, he is impersonal. Vyaktam apadam, but he's accepted a vyakti, a manifest form. Usually they say it is a form made of goodness. Our forms are also made of the different gunas. So they say this is the form of goodness is Bhagavan. They have impersonalists say like this. Ishvara is the mode of goodness in a form. That is Bhagavan. And the jivas are in the mode of ignorance that becomes a jiva. They say they have different philosophies like this. So they say avyaktam, the reality is unmanifest impersonal Brahman. Vyaktam apana, but it is achieved a form or is accepted a form. But that form is ultimately Maya. That is why they're called as Mayavadi. The word Maya means Maya, and Vadi means like Dakshin. So they said that everything is Maya. You are Maya, I am Maya, the Jiva is Maya, Krishna is Maya. So everything is ultimately Maya. So they're called as Mayavadi for this reason. There is only one reality that is Brahman, and everything we see in this world, that is just Maya. So everything is Maya. So they're called as Mayavadi, right? Of course, Prabhupada writes in one purport, even though they say everything is Maya, they're very expert in enjoying that Maya. They say it is all illusion, so why not enjoy? I don't know how that is a congruent argument, but anyway, that is the conclusion that many today come to. So avyaktam vyaktam. They say I'm impersonal and I've achieved a personal form. Manyate mama buddhaya. I think of these people that they are abuddhaya, which means they have no intelligence. So at least with those who worship other devatas, Krishna says they have a little intelligence. It is very little, but they have some. But for these persons, these are persons who study Vedas, abuddhaya, they have no intelligence. Krishna is saying like this. Param bhavam ajananto. They do not know my transcendent nature. Right, again, as I was mentioning earlier, they say anthropomorphism. Because we are persons, we're simply superimposing our humanity onto divinity and saying God is human. But actually, philosophically speaking, because we are persons, we think God can't be a person. That is actually what's happening. Because, in other words, when we are trying to think about God, we necessarily take ourselves as a reference point. So we try to look at the universal category from what's opposite of universal? What's a good word for opposite of universal? Yeah, we could say like that. We're trying to look at the macrocosmic category from the microcosm, or the universal category from there's another word, like not personal, the universal versus the individual. Atomic, yeah. So there's another word I'm looking for. Anyway, so so that is what science is also. You're trying to understand the universe from a smaller reference point. So the actual problem is that because we are human, we're trying to understand the universal category from our small category or finite category. And therefore, we're concluding that God cannot be human. But we're not looking at that universal category from the perspective of the universal category. In other words, in order to say God can't be human, you have to, or can't be a person, you have to first of all know all persons. If personhood is a category, then you should know every type of person in that category. Now, who here knows every person in existence? So we cannot say that. So if personhood is a category, and we don't know every person in existence, when we hear of another type of person like Krishna, then we have to just understand that he's a person that is different from our personhood. He's also falling in the category of personhood, but he is not a person like us. You can say that much logically, but you cannot say that God can't be a person unless you know God. And unless you know his nature, you will not be able to logically say that. If you've never met God, anyone here met God personally? Anyone has met God, you've seen him, you've talked to him, you had conversation. Or if you say Brahman, you have seen Brahman. So you cannot say that God can't be a person. All you can say is that he's not a person like us, which is true. So we say, well, God is all-pervading. So how can he have a form? Maybe his form is all-pervading. So the basic problem is that we're limited and we're trying to understand a universal category from a limited category, and we get confused. So Krishna is also saying here, Param bhava majanato. They do not know my transcendent nature. So they do not know that God can have a name, form, qualities, and activities, but that name, form, quality, and activity must be categorically different from our name, form, quality, and activity. You understand? It's categorically different. So Parambhava, they do not know that, just like I was mentioning this, I think the other day in class also, if you have a world of matter where everything in this world is made of matter, why not the possibility of a world of consciousness where everything is made of consciousness? Right? In other words, you're thinking that the ultimate reality is impersonal because you're thinking it's just opposite of your own personal experience. But why can't that reality include something that you also never had experience of? For example, have you had experience of a conscious name? You don't even know what that means. The name is conscious. We say like that also, right? Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. This verse is there. That the name is conscious. Have you had experience like that of a name being conscious? Like where the name can like reciprocate with you and talk to you? Like what your name is? Nicole. So what if Nicole's name comes and has a conversation with you? That would be very weird. That's not even something you can even conceive of because that's just weird. So the name is conscious. You've ever experienced something like that? No. So how do you know it's not existing? It's just beyond your experience. So Parambhavamadhananto, they did not know of this transcendent existence where the names are conscious, the qualities are conscious, the form is conscious. It is also there, but they do not know of this. Mama avyayam anutamam. It is imperishable and it is super excellent. Anuttamam. So Krishna is saying that why they don't know this? Because finally they didn't get that sort of mercy. So they cannot understand this reality. So Krishna says, but they give theory. So he says they are abhudaya, they have no intelligence. So if you are existing like this at all times, how come people don't see you? So you have a form, that form is also all pervading. So how come people don't see you at all times? Question is coming. So in the next verse, answer is being given. Naham prakasha sarvasha yogamaya samavrita. Naham prakasha sarvasha means that I am not prakash, I'm not made manifest to everyone at all times. Yogamaya samavrita, because I'm covered by the curtain of yogamaya. So yogamaya, we sometimes describe it like this, it's like a curtain. So if you go to like a dance show or some drama, then there are one curtains there. So you cannot see what is behind that curtain. So Maya is like a curtain that covers our vision of the reality. Therefore, separation from the absolute truth is not a like distance. Of course, we all grew up kind of in the West, so when we think of separation from God, we think like God is like up there in Vaikuntha or heaven, as it were, and we are way over here on the Earth planet. But God is all pervading. Vaikuntha is also all pervading. So all pervading means you're existing everywhere. So how come we don't see? You're seeing Krishna's pastimes are happening right here. So you are not seeing, I'm not seeing, you are seeing? You're seeing Krishna's pastimes? No. Why not? Are you seeing Krishna's pastimes? Why not? Yes. This is the answer. Yoga Maya Samavrita, because we're covered by the curtain. It's like a curtain that's blocking us from seeing the dancers behind. You understand? When you go to a dance show or some drama, you've been to a drama or a dance show and they have curtains. So sometimes the dancers are setting up behind the curtain, but you cannot see what is happening until the curtain is removed or open. In the same way, Krishna is existing everywhere right now, but we're not able to see him because of the curtain of Yoga Maya. So separation from God is not distance, it's consciousness. It is a consciousness that is afflicted by Maya. You understand? Yoga Maya Samavrita. So therefore, all people are not knowing me at all times or seeing me at all times because they're Maya. Mudoyam Abhijananti. Mudoyam means especially these foolish people that he's in previous verses. They do not know Lokamama Jam Aviyam. They do not know that when I take birth as a son of Vasudev, for example, that I'm actually unborn. And Aviyam, that I'm imperishable. So again, they're again looking at Krishna from, oh look, he is taking birth, so he must be ordinary human. So local mom ajamavyayam. They do not know that I'm unborn and imperishable. Because again, they're trying to understand the transcendence from the reference point. They're trying to understand the infinite from the reference point of the infinitesimal category. And therefore this confusion is coming. Sometimes it is seen that Krishna's devotees also do not understand who he is. Because in order for you to associate with the top guy, you have to be in a little bit of illusion. Otherwise, you can't do anything. And in other words, you are and I am an ant, and God is like a human being. So have you ever seen an ant and a human being have a relationship with each other? Of course, it's Kali Yuga, and the way things are going, that will soon probably appear. There are people who think that they are trans species, they're cats, even though they're a human body and so on. So this will come up someday soon. Someone trying to walk an ant. Can you imagine? Someone is like has like a little leash on the ant or something. So an ant is very small, and you are very big. So how you will establish relationship? Is it possible? Even if you want to, from your side, how can the ant reciprocate? You say, "Oh, come." Sometimes when you think you're spiritual, you like try to like be like affectionate with animals and so on, because that makes you feel more spiritual. Like, look, the butterfly is coming on my finger. That means I'm spiritual, or whatever. Quick, catch it for the Instagram or whatever. So similarly, you try to make a relationship with an ant. Is it possible? Can you make a relationship with an ant? This is not a very deep question. It's obvious. The answer is no. It is not possible, because you're too big and the ant is too small. So how can an infinite category like Krishna establish a relationship with a finite jiva? How is that actually possible? So that is also only possible by Maya, a type of Maya, but it's a divine Maya that allows for that relationship also. So rather divine Maya or material Maya, are you in divine Maya or material Maya? Which one? Yes, material Maya. So when we're in material Maya, we just don't know Krishna at all. But there are those who are in divine Maya, they know Krishna, but they don't know him as God. So in either case, they do not know the extent of his true glory. They're just loving Krishna. Of course, in context, Krishna here is talking about the material Maya, while we don't know Krishna. So, well, when there's a curtain there blocking, we cannot see, but the dancers behind, they also cannot see us, right? So what about you? If this curtain is there, are you not able to see what's happening to jivas and so on? Are you also like covered? So Krishna wants to just clarify that I am not covered. So the next verse, 26, Vedaham samititani, vartamanani charjuna, bhavishnani cha bhutani, mam tu vedana kashtana. So I know everything. That which has happened in the past, I am knowing that. That which is happening now, and that which will happen in the future, I know all of this. Mam tu vedana kashtana, but me, nobody knows. So because I am the shelter of this energy, Maya, it cannot cover me. If you are the shelter of some energy, it cannot cover you. Just like your mom and dad are your shelter, yes? And so you cannot control them. Can you control them? They control you? How do you feel about that? You're investigating. Going into deep thought. Don't answer that question. So because you are sheltered in that energy, you cannot overcome that energy. So similarly, Maya, Shakti, Jiva, Shakti, they're all sheltered in God. We heard this earlier. So they cannot overcome him. So although Maya is covering the individual jivas, this Maya cannot cover Krishna because he is a shelter for that Maya. So he is knowing everything, but no one is knowing him. Because they are in Maya and he is not in Maya. This is the meaning. This is the basic difference between God and the soul. What is the basic difference? Basic difference is? What is the basic difference between God and soul is a question. The basic difference? Yes, this is the basic difference. The soul is in Maya and God is not in Maya. So I always tell this story. Once I was on book distribution, distributing bhagavad-Gita, and I stopped this one young. I used to stop people by asking them who they were, to try to get them thinking philosophically. Who are you? Then they would give their name, usually. I would say, if you change your name, are you a different person? And they will say no. So I said, so you didn't answer my question. So who are you? And then usually if they were a little intelligent, they will say, oh, like light bulb. Yeah, that's interesting. Sometimes they would just give their name again, and then I would give them some prasado. This is the only thing that would help. So one time I saw one young man, I said, who are you? And he said, I'm God. And I said, wow, nice to meet you. I said, since you're omniscient, you already know what I want, so I'm gonna just get straight to it. Can I get a donation? And he said, I don't have any money. I said, what type of God are you, broke? The God that I worship is husband of goddess of fortune. So he is never broke. Therefore, I don't think you're a God. I think you are in Maya. Because God cannot be covered by Maya. He can never become broke. Huh? That was me. I don't think that was me. That's the truth. You're covered by Maya. You cannot be broke. Even the soul loses its own wealth because of being covered by Maya. right? The soul has the intrinsic wealth, the intrinsic opulence of consciousness, but it loses sight of that because of Maya, so it loses its own wealth. So the whole idea of being broke means you must be in Maya. Otherwise, if you're not in Maya, you would never think in this way. That's a little different twist on it, a little philosophical. So this is the main difference. I'm the shelter of this energy, so I cannot be covered. The jivas are covered. So when did they get covered by Maya? This question is coming. When did that happen? You want to know when you fell into Maya? You want to know when you fell into Maya? When did that happen? So the next verse Krishna is mentioning. Itra dvesha samutena dvanda mohena bharata sarva bhutani sam moham sarge yanti panantapa. Soon as they were born, they fell into Maya. Sarge yanti panantapa. Sarge yanti means as soon as they come out of the womb, or as soon as they take birth, they are in Maya. It is not that the babies are coming out enlightened. But nowadays, with the New Age community, they have all these concepts, indigo children, and these children, special enlightened kids. They have so many movies now where the kids are like better and more enlightened than the parents. This is all nonsense. Sarge Yatsi, as soon as you come out of the womb, you're in ignorance. Otherwise, why are you pasturing yourself? That's a very simple question. Why are you pasturing? Why are you passing through? Because you're in Maya. You're in ignorance. You don't even know how to not pasteural yourself because of Maya. There's a simple argument. You understand? So Sarga, as soon as they take birth, they're in Maya. Samoha. Moha means they're ignorant. And Samoha means completely ignorant, completely deluded by Maya. Who is like this? Sarvabhutani, everybody. Not one or two people, the whole world. Sarvabhutani means everybody is like this. And because of this, Itra dvesha samutena. Itra dvesha samutena means the impressions of I like, I don't like. So whenever you have an experience, it leaves an impression in your mind. If you have a good experience, then you have it leaves a positive impression and you become attached to repeat that good experience. And if you have a bad experience, it leaves a negative impression and you have a desire to avoid that experience again. So we have all these impressions of I like, I don't like. So just like every day, if you listen to your own self or you listen to others, this is mostly what everyone is always talking about. I like this. I don't like that. I like the weather today. I don't like the weather. Today I'm feeling tired. How much? If you listen to the conversation, it's not really recommended, but even the voice in your own mind, it is just this useless conversation going on. There's like, it is cold outside. Your mind will tell you it's cold. Duh, I'm standing outside. I understand it's cold. Why do I have to have a conversation about it for a long time? It's obvious. Or if the weather is nice today, like today the weather was nice. So the mind will go, the weather is so nice today, I like this. Isn't this nice weather? For a long time having conversation like this. So this is called Itra dvesha samutena, the imprints of I like, I don't like. Because of those impressions, dvandva mohena, we fall into the moha of duality. In other words, if you didn't have these impressions of I like or dislike existing in the mind, then the world of duality can never attract or repel you. Right? The world is attracting us sometimes in various ways, right? We have our phone, it attracts us in so many ways. Some ways are more dangerous than other ways, but it attracts. Right? You have many attractions, and you have many things that you're also repulsed by when you look out into the world, isn't it? I was at Thompson Square Park the other day with one friend, and there was one guy, he started taking off all his clothes in the middle of the park and started just jumping up and down on the bar, going, I think he was on some form of heavy intoxication. But he was doing very loudly, and I was with this one friend, and I was just like getting uncomfortable, because I was like, I don't want him to turn towards me and start, jumping up and down. And he was a very crazy person. So immediately the mind felt a little bit repulsed, like. But why does that happen? Because there's an imprint in my mind of some experience And that's kind of triggered that impression in my mind. And so I felt immediately repulsed. But if I didn't have the imprints of attachment and aversion existing inside, then nothing in this world could repulse me and nothing in this world could attract me. Therefore, there would be no question of bewilderment by Maya. And there's not. So when we get repulsed by something, that speaks more about us than it does about the thing that we're repulsed by. Similarly, when we get attracted, it also tells us something about ourselves.
Just thinking that way, I was thinking how there are a lot of attractions and aversions which are quite uniform, at least among human species.
Yeah.
And whereas the differentiations of attachment and aversion between humans are tend to be more subtle. So why do you think that is? Like, for example, a bad smell. Everybody knows what a bad smell is.
Yes.
And everybody knows what a good smell is.
Yes. So there are certain attachments and aversions that are uniform, especially among human species, even amongst all species. But then amongst human species, the attachments and aversions become more subtle. So again, that just speaks to the different types of experiences that they've had. Now, exactly what those experiences are, they or we cannot know precisely because those experiences are taking place in previous lives. But whatever the experience is, it creates a certain nuance within a category. So the category is attraction. And within that category, there will be nuances of attraction. For example, most people here in East Village, they like drinking. So therefore, there's so many bars. But amongst many of these drunkards, some of them are are called as connoisseurs. And connoisseur means like a sophisticated drunk. Someone who, the word originally meant for someone who was very expert at tasting wine. A connoisseur, one who's, so by tasting the wine, they can understand this is 1966, this is 1975. They have some power like this, or they might even have some competition. And Kali Yugas like this, now they have competition on who is very expert at tasting wine. So that means that just accounts for some sort of experience that they've had previously, that within a category, then there would be nuances of it. In the category, there is attraction. In the category, there is repulsion. So whatever it is, whatever we're attracted to or repulsed by, it just says something about our life experience, either this life or some previous life. And because of that, because of these impressions, the world of duality is attracting us or repulsing us. And most of our life goes wasted in being attracted and being repulsed. Actually, a complete waste of time we're basically just manipulated by our attractions and repulsions. Therefore, we say if you're attached to anything, you can be easily manipulated. Even by humans, you get manipulated because you're attached. For example, suppose I take your phone and you have some really confidential information on there that you don't want the world to know about. And I figured out your code, So it's like, okay, you want this phone back? Or I'll expose you. $500. Because you are attached, then I can manipulate you, right? If you were not attached, you would say, sure, no problem. But because you're attached, you can be manipulated. So that's an easy example. In a similar way, because of our various attachments and repulsions, we're being manipulated by the material energy to waste time and to waste our human form of life. And she manipulates in very interesting ways. Sometimes she manipulates us by making us do stupid stuff. And sometimes she manipulates us by making us comment on stupid stuff. Another way of manipulating. Just like in the modern social landscape, you see people protesting against evil. You have to stand up and social justice and all these things. But there's another way Maya tricks you. One way she tricks you is by making you an idiot. And the other way she tricks you is by making you spend all your time commenting on idiots. And that is a big genre. If you go to the YouTube channel, there are many commentary channels. And who are they talking about? The idiots. People who are doing stupid stuff, evil stuff even. So in this way, you get tricked. You get manipulated by the material energy. And this is all due to those imprints of attachment and repulsion. So for this reason, Mam Tivit Nakashana Kush is saying, for this reason, no one knows me. It's not that they can't know me. It's that they're so distracted by their imprints of attachment and aversion that they don't care to know me. They don't care to investigate spiritual life. Just like you go outside and ask them, you want to investigate spiritual life? They will say no. Why? Because some attraction is there is distracting them, or something they were repulsed by. You understand? Even we are not so serious about our own spiritual life. How many people here are very serious about their spiritual life? Like, they can honestly say that they're deeply serious about spiritual life. Can you nuance that a little bit? Let me see if I fall in the category. Means that you're 100% just focused on developing your Christian consciousness if you're a bhakti yogin or if you do something else. So we got 2 people. 3 people? Nice. Jai. How are you all? 3, 4. Okay, we got some confident people in this room. So 4 people very serious about the spiritual life. So what is the obstacle? These attachments and aversions that distract and keep us from developing Krishna Bhakti. So Krishna is saying here that everyone is like this, not 1 or 2, a few people, everyone is like this. So questions coming, then does anyone know you? Does anyone actually have your bhakti and know you? So the next verse he explains, this is a very nice verse. Yesham tantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam dhridavrata. So jananam punya karmanam, those persons who are punya karmanam, they perform pious activity. So generally, if we speak about this in terms of the gunas of material nature, those who are in tamaguna, that is our friend at the park. So that means tamagun is very strong. So it's completely eclipsed from reality. Then there is rajaguna. Rajaguna is somewhat of an upgrade. Those are the people at the gym, for example. You go to the gym and they're in the mirror. Wherever you go in the gym, they have mirrors surrounding you on all sides. I always found it very interesting. I used to be a dancer. So they also have mirrors everywhere. So when you're making your position, you can look at your line, how straight it is. And many times when you were dancing choreography, the hardest part was not to look at yourself. You're like supposed to leap, but then you were like, you couldn't help it because the mirror is there. It just invites you to get absorbed. The Rajaguna. So in the gym also, I see there are mirrors right in front. Everyone's very, the squat. They got mirror in front and the mirror behind, so they can see the behind also. Yeah, the muscles are coming. So this is Rajaguna. This is a little bit of an upgrade. That is Tamagun. So from there, upgrade is coming. Yeah. Rajas means passion. So they're passionate. They have strong desires to be fulfilled, and they work very hard to fulfill those desires. In the case of the gym example, they want muscles usually for aesthetics these days, an Instagram picture or something like that. So they work very hard to fulfill that desire. So then when there's Rajas and Tamas, it is very hard to practice spiritual life. Like, I don't imagine going up to this guy and saying, can you chant Hare Krishna? I didn't bother to go up and say, Prabhu, you should chant Hare Krishna. He'll not be able to hear. Also, if you go to the gym and the person, say, why are you looking at yourself in the mirror? You should chant Hare Krishna. Actually, you're not this material body. They'll take the weight, and I'll be finished. So in these Rajagun, Tamagun people, they're not so inclined towards pious activity. For pious activity, there should be Sattva-guna. Sattva-guna inspires religiosity and inspires piety. So Jananam Punya Karmanam means when persons become a little bit sattvic. After becoming sattvic, they by chance get the association of devotees, saintly persons. So when you're in Rajas and Tamas, when you associate with sadhu, saintly people, they usually cannot appreciate. Rajas the word Rajas literally means dust. So the idea of Rajas is that it obscures knowledge. And Tamas means it completely eclipses it. So when there is Rajas and Tamas, when you come in association of saintly person, there's no interest. Because you're obscured by whatever else is going on in your life, or you just completely eclipse But when there's sattva, sattva means beingness. That's what it literally means. Sat means being, and tva means ness. So it's like a state of a thing and it's right, and its most healthy condition. It's called sattva. So when someone is existing in sattva, their perception is a little bit open. So when you're a sattva and you get the chance to associate with sadhu, saintly persons, then they will inspire you to do Krishna bhajan, to worship Krishna. So by that worship, antagatam papam, all your sins will be destroyed by that bhajan. Te dvanda moha nirmukta, and as you advance in your worship of Krishna, you'll become completely free from duality. That means all those impressions of I like and dislike start to get eradicated completely, and the world of Maya cannot attract or repulsion anymore. And after that happens, Dridavratahar, your Krishna bhajan, your worship of Krishna becomes very strong. So this verse is asking the question, well, does anyone worship you? Like you said, everyone is in Maya. So who worships you? These type of people worship me. They become a little bit sattvic, and because of sattvic, their hearts become a little open. And then they associate with sadhu. So the association with sadhu is a cause of their desire for spiritual life. It is not just being pious. There are a lot of pious people who are interested in God. But there are a lot of pious people, although not interested in God, their heart is open because they're in a state of sattva. And sattva kind of makes you a little bit inclined towards spirit. That's the way sattva works, spiritual things. So by that association with sadhu, they're inspired to do worship, bhajan. And then by that bhajan, all their sins are destroyed. Duality is destroyed, and then their bhajan becomes very strong. They worship Krishna with great determination. So these people are few. As Krishna has already said in the beginning of the chapter, Manusha nam sarashishu, kashya yatati siddhaya yatakamapi siddhanam kashya mabeti tatata. Out of many thousand men, some are going for spiritual life. And out of those who attain spiritual life, some know me in truth. So that means this number is very few, but it happens occasionally. That's when we become a devotee. Just like many of us in this room, we are becoming devotees. Well, how did that happen? So this verse is giving the story how that happened. So I'm going to stop there. There are actually 2 more verses to cover, but I'll have to cover that on Monday and finish the chapter. Are there any final comments or questions? Otherwise, we'll take some reflection. Yeah.
And this is another question. Like, we see that when the soul, when the devotee starts to become more purified, they develop specific qualities or attributes to their character, which are kind of like defined, like they're defined characteristics of pure devotee or advanced devotee. And so I guess my question is, if the soul is unlimited, then how is it defined by particular characteristics?
If the soul is unlimited, how is it defined by specific qualities?
Yeah, and its purity is defined by particular qualities. At least that you can say in the context of Krishna bhakti. So then,
Well, the qualities are also unlimited, right? So they're not delimited by those qualities. They're just expressions of the unlimited nature of the qualities. Therefore, you'll have so many verses saying you cannot describe in full, but just to give you a little taste. In fact, with Mahaprabhu, he is speaking about the qualities of Vaishnavas in Madhya Lila chapter 22. So he dedicates 3 verses to the qualities of Vaishnavas, but he says these are just some prominent ones, but actually you should know that their qualities are unlimited. So everything in the devotional world is unlimited. So they do not delimit, but rather just they don't delimit, they give a little taste of the unlimited nature of those qualities. And these qualities are also, they can combine together also, and manifest another sort of thing. So I don't know if I'm answering the question precisely.
yeah,
but,
it makes sense. As well as unlimited qualities, part of it.
Yes.
Would you say also that as we develop in our Krishna consciousness that we begin to, because also part and parcel of Krishna, so would you say, the qualities that Krishna has may also
Yes. So in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is mentioned 64 prominent qualities of Bhagavan, of Krishna. And of those 64 prominent qualities that are mentioned, I think something like 50 of them are said to be able to manifest in the jiva in a minute way. Brahma can manifest the greatest extent of those qualities. Brahma is a jiva also. He can manifest the greatest extent of those qualities. Then Shiva, is it? He manifests something like 55 of those qualities, or the Narayan forms of the Lord. They manifest, no, Shiva 55. The Narayan forms 60. And then Krishna has 4 unique qualities that only he manifests. So it could be said like that the jiva begins to reflect the quality of Krishna. That's because Krishna's form is composed of the internal energy. And bhakti is a function of that internal energy. So once there's the ingress of that internal energy, you start to manifest the quality of that reality. Just like if you stand outside, like today I was outside walking. When I walked outside this morning, it was a little cold, so I brought my coat. Then during the midday, the sun came out. And as I was walking in the sun, I was like, okay, it's cool. I didn't overdress. But as I kept walking in the sun, I was, and I had like my scarf wrapped around my neck and this thick wool coat on. Then I was starting to burn up. So what was happening is that the sun was hitting, and then there's an ingress of the sun ray, the heat of the sun. So you keep standing in the sun, you get hotter and hotter and hotter because there's an increasing ingress of the heat of the sun. So once one associates with devotion, then you take on the quality of devotion. Devotion is coming from the spiritual reality or the internal energy. So the more one associates with that, there's an ingress of that heat of bhakti. And therefore you become like bhakti, you become fire-like, so to speak. And then you manifest the same quality of that place. So then we could say it, you manifest Krishna's quality. There are different ways you can articulate it. But you manifest the quality of that world because of associating with that world through devotion. So we would say like that. Yes.
I heard something I hadn't heard before. Divine Maya, which you were saying is
Yes.
The illusion of the separation.
Yeah. So there are 2 types of Maya. One Maya we know very well, and another Maya we don't know at all. So the Maya we know very well is also sometimes called Yoga Maya, but to make a distinction, they call the material Maya as Maha Maya. So Maha Maya means the Maya that deludes jivas in this world as being the body and no existence of God. And we've been hearing about that Maya in chapter 7. Then there's a divine Maya, which is usually termed as Yoga Maya, to make a distinction. So there's Yoga Maya is a positive illusion that allows the minute jiva to feel that he can serve God. Otherwise, you cannot. You'll be arrested by reverence. Just like if you were to see God in his full glory, what can you do but you'll be arrested by reverence. I remember one time I went to the hospital. This was in Chicago. We were signing up for some sort of healthcare thing or something. So I came in my whole monk robe, and tilak and everything. So the lady who was doing the thing, she was curious. You look a little funny. So she was asking questions about that. And then, so she said, so what is this philosophy? So I started explaining, the full gamut of Christian consciousness. I was like a very new devotee. So when you're a new devotee, you want to give them the whole Siddhanta in one sitting. So I was explaining like the full thing. I was explaining how you can, by bhakti, you can see God face to face. And she was like, I don't want to see God. I was like, damn, you a straight up demon. But she was a Christian lady, actually. I said, why don't you want to see God? I thought she would be inspired by that because she was Christian. She said, oh, no, I don't want to see God. I was like, ooh, that's not sounding good. And I said, well, I asked her, why don't you want to see God? And she said, because as soon as you see God, you die. I don't know how that was her conception. And I was like, well, I'm going to die anyway. So, that doesn't sound too bad. But I don't know what it is, her concept, but she had a concept like that. Anyway, I'm relating that to this idea that in one sense, yeah, God is so great and we are so small. So that was my reason for giving the ant human example. How does something so small establish a relationship with something so big? How does the finite establish a relationship with the infinite? That's like being in the middle of the ocean. You know, you can't see the shore. There's no depth, no floor to the ocean. How you will establish relationship? So it is Maya, divine Maya, that allows that sense that a relationship is possible. Otherwise, there would be no question of relationship also, because God is infinite. So this divine Maya allows, in the case of the jivas, it allows for us the opportunity to associate with God intimately, as a friend, as a parent, even, and ultimately as a lover. So these pictures depict the types of relationships that are possible because of divine Maya. If there was no divine Maya, then there could be no question of establishing a relationship with the infinite, because we are minute. So divine Maya is also mentioned all throughout the scriptures. And this divine Maya also facilitates Krishna's pastimes with his own devotees. So the sense of separation and meaning, all these things are happening by divine Maya. So it's a big topic, but that's the summary. Okay. Before we close out, 2 reflections. What's something you learned today? Abai, what did you learn today? Anything? Or here? Yes, I know. I always catch everyone off by surprise.
I guess I also didn't know the 2 different types of mayas.
Really?
Not in so much detail.
Okay. Okay. Oh, you're smiling. Travis, please share 1 or 2 things you learned. 1 thing.
Well, I mean, I kind of like, I mean, basically, I kind of already, anyways, we can only, like, as jivas, we can only overcome Maya once we are not sheltered by her. And Krishna can never be covered by Maya because he shelters her.
Nice. Very good. Daniel, I see you're very eager.
I was actually formulating
Clever. Got out of that one.
philosophically, it's at least those of us trying to be. It's easy to understand Maya, but oftentimes trying to understand Maya philosophically in the heat of the moment, it leads to a lot of speculation and a lot of just failed attempts to get out of Maya. And so I'm wondering how to get over that tendency, because that tendency, at least for me personally, is really strong to dig my way out of this.
Yes, no one can come out of Maya. So this should be we should be fully confident that we can never come out of Maya on our own strength. You're not gonna be able to think your way out of Maya, because the mind is itself a product of Maya. So whatever thinking you will do is itself Maya. And whatever analysis you'll be making with your intelligence, that is also Maya. There's a nice prayer, Gopinath from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he says like this, that I can't get out of Maya because my very body, mind, intelligence are all products of Maya. So how I will get out? So therefore, O Gopinath, I simply take shelter of you. You get me out of this Maya. So our business as devotees is to just continue to shelter ourselves in Bhagavan, Krishna, by hearing, by chanting, by remembering him, worshiping him, serving the devotees. And that way we will get out of Maya without recognizing it. This is basically the strategy. Kapila Deva will also speak about this, getting liberated without noticing it. And because you're just absorbed in the object of devotion. So that is a basic bhakti yoga strategy for getting out of Maya. Someone will say by cultivating knowledge, gyan, then you will become detached from the world. And then in that way you can overcome the influence of Maya. But the only problem with that is that you're still in the material body. And there's every chance of it again becoming covered by Maya. It's like sometimes a tree is cut down, but the root is remaining inside. So then again, it comes up and takes over. So Bhakti Yoga philosophy says only by surrendering to God you can come out of Maya. Krishna himself has said this in Gita, this chapter itself. Only by surrendering to me you can cross over Deva Maya. So the Bhakti Yoga strategy is just to do more and more of the good thing. Prabhupada has given an example. If you want to, what is that? If you have a pot of ink and you want to clean it out, one strategy is you like dump out the ink and then you start trying to clean it. But it will never become clean. Everything will get inky. Anyway, I don't know if that's a word, but there's another way you can clean it out also. You just apply a more dense substance inside the thing and then allow it to overflow and remove the ink that way. So I think Prabhupada gives an example of milk, because milk is more dense than ink. If you pour in milk, like real cow's milk, it's more, not the watered down stuff you get at the store. But real milk is more dense, so when you pour it in, it removes all the ink, and then only thing left remaining after some time is just milk. So Bhakti Yoga is a more dense substance. So our strategy is to increase the more dense thing. Just like you can do practically, how many hours of Bhakti Yoga do we do versus just like stuff that's not important? Not that this is not meant to be like a shame thing. You can like literally analyze it for yourself. So then our idea is to make our life 100% Bhakti Yoga. And then you'll get out of Maya that way. Otherwise, not. I know sometimes I've always put a lot of emphasis like you need to analyze your mind, analyze your anartas. They say like this and so on. And maybe there's some credence to that, but anyway, even after you analyze your anarta, it is still there and not going anywhere. So you're just like, hi. Some bad quality. You have this experience, you analyze your bad quality, but it doesn't go anywhere. It is nicely situated and waving at you or laughing at you also. You think you're gonna get rid of me, bruh? Trying to break up with me? You ain't gonna break up with me, bruh. So there's another way to break up. You have to get a new lover. And so that is Krishna. So that is our strategy. And then he'll break that other lover. That's him. And Krishna's like, I got this one. So that is a good strategy. Otherwise, there's no question in coming out of Maya. Okay, you want to say something? Then we'll do last comment.
Yeah, just you were saying that how much we practice compared to just the thing we do every day. The other day, I had a very bad day at work. Like everybody was pissing me off so much, and I was like, oh my god, like I don't want to talk to these people. I'm just gonna chant Hare Krishna straight, like 7 hours in the day. And
Wow.
maybe not 7, but it was a lot. Like at least from the 7, I did maybe like 3 with like breaks. But it was just amazing, like how does it work in the environment, like very chaotic environment. It was just very amazing experience.
Thank you for giving us encouragement. Yes.
I'm very happy to know that there's 2 Mayas, Yoga Maya, or the Maya that we all think about, and but Divine Maya. That's an excellent idea, concept, and maybe in the future, I'll be able to do something with it.
Yes, we have to pray for the association of Divine Maya.
Yeah.
That should help us. All right, thank you all very much. Is Krishna going to explain why Maya exists? Is it because it's impossible to live in the material world otherwise? Yes, we'll get to that question on Monday. Nice question. Why does Maya exist? Why does anything exist? That's what happens when you slept way too many hours in a day, and then you wake up and you're like, why do I exist? Why does anything exist? The mode of ignorance. And And then as soon as you keep down that road, then it will lead to that only problem. So we get to this later. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna.